My daughter got pregnant by her father's best friend. The letter I am going to read tonight honestly left me completely in shock, because there are stories where you don't really know who is to blame. And the more you think about them, the more uncomfortable they become. Mariana writes to us, and it goes like this. Mariana's story. The internal contradiction. I never imagined that I would end up feeling rage toward my daughter, and at the same time, a desire to protect her. I think that is what is destroying me the most, the contradiction, because part of me wants to hug her, and another part still cannot believe what she did. My name is Mariana. I am 49 years old. I have been married for 24 years to my husband Ricardo, and we have 2 children. Our oldest daughter, Valentina, is 22 years old, and honestly, until a few months ago, I thought we were a fairly normal family. Not perfect, but stable. The uncle figure. Ricardo was always an extremely sociable man, one of those men who make friends anywhere, and for almost 20 years, he has had a best friend named Esteban. Esteban was practically part of our family. He came to birthdays, Christmases, vacations, barbecues, everything. My children grew up seeing him constantly, and honestly, I always saw him as an uncle to them. That was precisely the problem, because I never imagined what would end up happening. Esteban is 46 years old, divorced, and has no children. For years, he was Ricardo's typical fun friend, the one who was always present, the one who helped with moving, the one who showed up whenever someone needed something. My daughter, Valentina, always got along very well with him, but sincerely, I never thought too much about it. Because when someone is part of your family for so many years, you stop seeing them as a threat. Now I realize how naive I was. The vulnerable shift. It all started about a year ago. Valentina ended a rather toxic relationship and was left emotionally destroyed. She cried a lot, locked herself away, and honestly, we didn't know how to help her. And curiously, the person who started talking to her the most was Esteban, supposedly because he understood her, because he had also gone through painful divorces, and because he knew how to listen. And yes, now I understand how all of this sounds. But at that moment, I never suspected a thing, not even a little bit. In fact, it seemed nice to me that someone was supporting her emotionally. My husband even said, "Thank goodness Esteban is helping her move forward." My God, if Ricardo only knew what would end up happening. The warning signs. Over time, I started to notice strange things. Valentina talked a lot about Esteban. Too much. She defended him constantly, said he understood her better than we did, and every time he came to the house, she seemed way too excited. But sincerely, my brain never connected the dots. Because you don't want to think something like that. You just don't. I remember one specific night where I felt a very strange discomfort. We were all having dinner together, and at one point, Valentina and Esteban started arguing about music. But the way they looked at each other was strange, too intense, too personal. For the first time, I felt an uncomfortable knot in my stomach. Later, I even saw her touch his hand while they were laughing. And yes, I know that might sound minor, but a mother notices things. That night, I mentioned to Ricardo that I felt their relationship was strange, and he literally laughed. He told me, "Mariana, Esteban has known her since she was a child." That phrase gives me chills now, because that is precisely why this feels so disturbing. Over time, things got worse. Valentina started going out a lot. Many times she said she was with friends, but she started coming home late, hiding her phone and isolating herself. Honestly, I thought she was simply going through a rebellious phase after her breakup, until one night, everything exploded. The unthinkable confession. It happened 4 months ago. I will never forget that day. Valentina came home crying and shaking, practically unable to speak. I thought someone had died. But then she said, "Bomb thing that made my world stop, Mom." I'm pregnant. I felt like the floor disappeared underneath me. Because even though she is an adult, I never imagined something like this. And honestly, the first thing I asked was, who is the father? There was a horrible, agonizingly long silence. And then she said, Esteban. To this day, I still feel nauseous when I remember that moment because literally my brain could not process it. I thought I had misheard, so I asked her to repeat the name, and she said it again, Esteban, her father's best friend, the man who had been coming to our house for almost 20 years, the man my husband considered a brother. I felt something very difficult to explain. It was a mix of rage, disgust, confusion, and fear. A lot of fear. A deception of 8 months. I asked her how long it had been going on, and her answer destroyed me even more. 8 months. 8 months. While we kept inviting him over to the house, while Ricardo told him about problems at work, while we were having family dinners, they were having a secret relationship. My daughter began to cry desperately. She told me she didn't plan to fall in love, that everything started just by talking, that Esteban listened to her, and that she felt understood. And honestly, as I listened to her, I felt like I was going to go crazy, because a part of me saw my vulnerable daughter, but another part could only think, how could he cross that line? Because honestly, even though she is an adult, he met her when she was a child. That makes everything feel extremely uncomfortable. A family shattered. When Ricardo got home that night, honestly, I thought he was going to kill someone. I had never seen my husband like that. Never. At first, he thought it was a joke. Then he started screaming. And finally, he started crying. Crying. Seeing a man emotionally break down in front of you is very hard. But seeing a man discover that his best friend got his daughter pregnant, honestly, it was devastating. Ricardo immediately called Esteban, and what shocked me most was that Esteban didn't deny it. He didn't even try to deny it. He simply said, I love Valentina. That phrase completely destroyed our family, because to Ricardo, that wasn't love. It was betrayal. And honestly, I still don't know what to think myself, because the more I try to analyze it, the more confused I feel. My husband stopped speaking to him immediately and blocked him from everything. A house divided, but Valentina kept defending him. And that created a horrible conflict inside the house because she insisted that nobody manipulated her, that she was in love, and that Esteban never forced her into anything. But honestly, how do you separate love from emotional influence when there is such a big age difference and a family history behind it? That is what torments me. For weeks, our house was a living hell. Ricardo wouldn't even look at Valentina. I cried every day, and she insisted on continuing to see Esteban. She even went as far as saying something that broke my heart. You guys are more worried about Ricardo than about me. And honestly, part of me felt guilty because maybe she was right. Because in the midst of the shock, we all started viewing her as the daughter who destroyed the family, instead of seeing her as a young, pregnant, and emotionally confused girl. But at the same time, how can you not feel rage? How can you not feel betrayed? Especially when you uncover the details. Because yes, later we discovered horrible details, secret trips, hotels, messages, and the worst part, countless conversations where Esteban talked about Ricardo. That made me sick because it meant he could sit across from my husband faking a friendship while sleeping with his daughter. I cannot wrap my head around that, the present reality. Currently, Valentina is 5 months pregnant, and yes, she is still with Esteban. My husband still cannot accept it. He says he will never see him again. And honestly, I don't know if our marriage will emotionally survive this, because Ricardo feels humiliated and betrayed. I think he also feels guilty, as if he failed to protect his daughter. Sincerely, I think Esteban destroyed something much deeper than a friendship. He destroyed the trust within our family. I keep talking to my daughter because at the end of the day, she is still my daughter. And even though I am confused, I cannot abandon her. But honestly, there are still nights where I cry, thinking, how did we end up here? Because I never imagined someone so close would end up causing so much damage. And I never imagined my daughter would end up falling in love with her father's best friend. Thank you for reading me. Mariana. Wow. Honestly, this story is extremely complicated because there are way too many mixed emotions here. Betrayal, confusion, rage, and love. Honestly, I think there is no perfect reaction to something like this. First, I want to say something important. Valentina is an adult, and that changes the conversation completely. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are going to feel uncomfortable for one very specific reason. Esteban has known her since she was a little girl. I believe that is what makes this story so disturbing for many people. Even though she is legally an adult, emotionally, there is a very delicate dynamic at play there. I also want to talk about the father because honestly, I cannot imagine Ricardo's pain. Your best friend, the man you trusted for decades, ends up having a relationship with your daughter. That must completely destroy you psychologically. And I want to ask you all a very heavy question. Do you think Esteban truly loved Valentina? Or do you think he crossed a line he never should have crossed? Honestly, this story is going to highly divide opinions. Another thing that left me thinking is the emotional vulnerability. It all started when Valentina was emotionally destroyed. Honestly, that also makes many people see the situation as unbalanced, especially considering the age gap and the family closeness. Now, I also want to say something important. Attacking only Valentina seems unfair to me. A lot of people are probably going to call her a traitor. But sincerely, I think the biggest emotional responsibility here lies with Esteban. Because he was the older adult, the father's friend, the close figure. And he was the one who should have understood the consequences of crossing that line. And another complicated question. Do you think Ricardo should eventually accept the relationship for the sake of his grandchild? Or do you think there are betrayals that are simply unforgivable? Honestly, I don't know. I think this is one of those stories where nobody comes out emotionally intact. Now I want to read your thoughts. What do you think about this situation? Do you think it was true love? Or do you think there was emotional manipulation? Could you ever forgive a best friend after something like this? And the toughest question of all, what hurts more? The betrayal of the friend? Or discovering that your own daughter hid something like this for months? I'll read your responses in the comments. And if you have stories you'd like to share anonymously, feel free to send them in. Because honestly, some family stories are so intense that they seem impossible to believe.